like her and her sister in there one day and had them like, I don't know, collar tie each other or something. But so yeah, she got a blank nose. So that was the first time I met her. And then she famously says that like after that I didn't talk to her for like a year. Alirez is my weight. And so I was, and I remember I like couldn't bend my leg the next morning. Like, just when you pop your knee or whatever, I thought it was kind of something like that. And I remember Kish was like, "Oh, you're gonna wrestle. That boy's dogging in there. Like he's feeling the cut." And I'm like, I can't like bend my leg. And he's like, no, like you're gonna wrestle. Like it was like not an option. And I was like, okay, like I think looking back, I wish I would have tried to have more fun.
Yeah, we got with us today NDSU alum, two-time NCAA qualifier, Dylan Droegemueller.
Heck yeah. Got him. Bang, right off the
What first?
Was that it?
Yeah, that was good.
First try,
Sweet.
real first take.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Dylan. Appreciate ya. Excited to have ya, and let's freaking do it, huh?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're just talking about his last name and how to pronounce it, because I run into a little issue, and I don't want to fuck it up for him too.
Yeah. I remember always coming to duels. I thought it was so cool when the announcer would say your name, because he'd always be like, Dylan Droegemueller.
I don't know if I don't ever remember any of that, like the little stuff, like the thunderstruck walking out to that, but I mean, I feel like you drown a lot of that out when you're in the moment. You're so focused on your match, even though it's 3-4 people away.
Yeah, I feel like you're so laser focused. I mean, I remember just like running out in that circle, you just feel like you're floating, like you just feel all the tingles coming. Yep. It's like, oh boy, here we go. But
it's kind of a crazy experience to even like the whole atmosphere. Like you said, you don't even like realize the little things, and it's like everyone there is like in that. They're like hearing the music, watching the jumbotron, seeing like the person's highlights or something, and they're like living that, and we're just so focused.
Yeah.
We didn't see it at all.
It's way different as a spectator now, being removed for 2 years. I mean, you literally get to go and enjoy it, and you don't experience any of the pain of all the weight cut, the hard practices, the sacrifice that goes into it. You just get to enjoy the entertainment.
Yep.
And yeah, it's actually pretty nice being on the other side. Right. I mean, right now I feel that way, but I do miss the competition sometimes, because you don't get that. You won't really ever get that same wrestling experience. You can compete in other things, but it's not to the level of that.
Yeah, I just feel like when you're wrestling, it's like there, and then once that leaves, there's just like you said, there's nothing really that competitive.
It's like, almost like it's its own drug. Like it's like you get a high out there just competing, like going out there. And it's you and them, and it's like that little, you chase it.
For sure.
Like, oh, I can't wait to feel that again.
Yeah.
You get it right before a match, you're like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
It's also weird when you like, you're not too far removed, and you're seeing the guys that you wrestled, like the Southern Scuffle, and they were up and comers or whatever, and they didn't make a name for themselves really yet. And then now they're like the ones that are in the top 10, or they're like they're really contenders for the title, and you're like, oh man, that's crazy that those guys are up there.
It probably is a crazy feeling. Yeah, it's like
even to see like the guys like you're in high school with, like at the next level now, I feel like that's such a weird experience, because you're like, yeah, heck, I grew up wrestling around this kid and know him, and like we went to the same club, and you see now they're in college, and I think that's such a like, it's a cool experience, or like cool thing to even see.
Yeah. I'd like to maybe start. I'd actually like to start in college with you. Like, you get on campus. Like, you can kind of touch as much or as little in each year as you want, but I'd just like to hear like kind of the whole process with it. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll back it up to high school, and then I'll go through kind of through college. So I was from Champlin, and I wrestled there for 2 years. My real only partner was my older brother. And I did pretty well there. Like, I qualified for state, and so I was always really small. Like, I was 98 pounds my freshman year of high school, so I was tiny. And then that was when they only had 106, or whatever.
So Champlin? That's how you say it.
Champlin, yeah.
Champlin, were they pretty bad then? Like, as a whole,
the weird thing was they actually had made it to state as a team the year before. And so like they'd put together like a pretty decent team, but I mean they were a basketball, volleyball school when I was there. I mean I think their starting 5 for basketball all went Division I, and like they were top in the state. So they were all and I think it was the same for volleyball too. Like some of them went on to be some of the best like college women's volleyball players. And, like they went to Wisconsin and they won like national titles and stuff. So they were really good. The games are packed.
How big was the school?
Ooh, I want to say it was like maybe a little bit more than 4,000 students. Like it was big. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So each class is like 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with Anoka too. I mean, that was in the biggest school district in the state. So
St. Cloud, is that by?
No. So St. Cloud is more north.
Okay. It's more in the cities.
We're like 20 minutes northwest of Minneapolis, basically like a suburb. So I went there for 2 years, and then I actually, there's a whole other, I won't get into it, but I transferred to Anoka, basically, which is 5 minutes away.
Okay.
Because they were a much better wrestling team, and I wanted to wrestle in college. So that was a really good move for a ton of reasons. But, I got really good coaching there. The team was amazing. We got second and third in state. We lost the finals in state my junior year, and it was basically came down to Gable versus our heavyweight, and our heavyweight was good. He got second in the state. It was Gable Stevenson. So like we were
that's kind of a cool story though.
Yeah. It was. We were so close, but
And Apple Valley had a good team.
Yeah, they always put together a good team. So
did you even go to a club at all?
I did. Yeah, I went to Pinnacle. Right. So that helped me a ton as well. Brandon Paulson and Jared Lawrence. And
how far is that drive for you?
To Pinnacle? 30 minutes maybe, 30, 40 minutes. There was people that were driving an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Right.
To go there like 3 times a week. It was crazy. But I mean, it's one of those things where you got a bunch of really good wrestlers in the same room, and the coaches were really good, and it bred a lot of really good wrestlers.
So when did you start going to Pinnacle, like age-wise?
8th grade.
8th grade.
Yeah. So that was when I feel like I kind of started to focus. I still played soccer 1 year in high school.
Yep.
And I was pretty good at soccer, but it was kind of like, okay, do I want to wrestle or do soccer? My family is a wrestling family. So my grandpa coached at Osseo for 30 plus years. My dad and uncle were both a couple times state champs from Osseo, and they wrestled for Nebraska actually. So I came from a wrestling family.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yep. So that was, it kind of was like in my blood, I guess, to go, and I wanted to wrestle. So went to Anoka for 2 years. I never won state in high school, so I was not like a highly touted recruit. Like I got recruited by Minnesota, mostly because I was going to Pinnacle, and they saw I was a hard worker or whatever. And they, Minnesota traditionally, like they'll recruit a lot of guys, and they're not waving tons of scholarship money in front of people. It's like, hey, we'll get you in here, and if you start, you can earn your way to more. I think they're still on the same structure. At least that's how it was at the time when I was there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've gathered. And it seems like they're big on you earn your keep kind of.
Yeah. But once you're in, like you're
right.
Yeah, they take care of you. Oh, sorry, I had to take a drink there, but so yeah, and then I got recruited by NDSU Minnesota. SDSU. I was like really leaning to SDSU because one of my best friends was Peyton Robb.
Oh yeah.
And like him and Alex Lloyd, if you remember Lloyd, and Riley Molitor. There's all these guys that were going to SDSU, and it was kind of like this is like the place to be. Bono and Reeder were really good recruiters, and like they were kind of up and coming at the time. And this was before obviously Han's there now, but then I looked at it, when you make your college decision, you look at, okay, who are my coaches? Who are my practice partners going to be? Like, what are my chances to, like, wrestle? Like, I want to go and wrestle.
Exactly.
I don't want to be, like, if I went to Minnesota, I wouldn't have started my first couple of years. Mitch McKee was there. Like, it was going to be tough. And then also you look at, like, financially, to get 50% scholarship at U of M, that basically is equal what it is to go to NDSU with no scholarship. Right. So, like, you need to make up a lot of ground there.
You do.
And then, SDSU, I think the final decision to not go there was like, they don't really have, like they have an economics major, and that's their business school. It's pretty ag focused. So I wanted to do finance. Yeah. And so that was like the tiebreaker, I guess.
That's interesting. So. Yeah. Going back to Alex Lloyd and Peyton Robb, I remember like one of the most vivid things that I watched when I was a kid. I watched this video like 1,000 times. Alex Lloyd hit a foot sweep against Peyton Robb in the state finals.
Yeah.
And that was
He was
insane.
shaking after that, yeah. I mean, that just shocked
I'll pull that
stadium.
video up eventually,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
holy cow,
yeah.
that was insane.
That was a crazy end of that match.
Yeah.
So you got your degree in finance, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay. And then where'd you say you work at now?
Morgan Stanley.
Morgan Stanley,
Yeah.
okay.
So they're, I guess, one of like the bigger financial firms in the world. It's like them, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, UBS. So they're big. Goldman Sachs.
I think my grandpa actually trades stocks through them.
Oh, really?
Morgan Stanley.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
So-
good firm.
What do you do in the business or like in the firm?
Well, do you want me to keep going on my background, or do you want me to?
Yeah, maybe we'll come back to
Okay.
that. We'll come back.
I'll
to
talk
that.
about that. I just
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
For
you want me
sure.
to cover more on my background.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely would.
Okay. So I'll stick on that. So, yeah, out of high school, I was, not a very highly touted recruit. Those are my three options, basically. I ended up choosing NDSU. So I was not, and I won't even think for NDSU, I wasn't really the guy, like, at my weight. Like, I was recruited Russell 133. I grew a ton my
right.
senior year. I wasn't going to make it, like, anymore at 133. And then, like, there's other guys that, like, Sam Stoll was here. He's a 4-time state champ from Wisconsin. There was Sawyer Dagan. He was a 4-time state champ from Montana. I don't know if they really like recruited me to be the guy. I think in my mind I was, but like that wasn't really the case. I think looking at the on paper, I guess.
Right.
You know Scholes from Wisconsin, you said?
Stoll. Yeah.
Stoll. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking of a different name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah. I don't know Skulls, but yeah, Sam Stoll. He actually went to wrestle for Augsburg, and I think he won D3 national.
That's right. Yeah.
So-
because he ended up transferring out, right?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was. Yeah. He tried to go 33 and 49. He was an awesome partner, really good teammate. Yeah. He just I guess I don't know what all went into his decision, but
Sure.
it worked out for him. He was D3 national champ.
Yeah.
So got to campus.
Yep.
A lot changed. I mean, my college career was very weird. Coaching changes, COVID, like NIL, like there's a lot of things that changed.
Yeah.
Through the portal rules.
Yeah.
Like, a lot changed in my time. So when I got onto campus, I was roommates with Jared Franick. So
Johnson 141.
Johnson 141.
Heck
yeah. Yeah. So we our freshman year was, the preseason was way different. It was freshmen did like their own stuff with Kish.
That's
and
right.
the
I remember
upperclassmen
that being
didn't
a
do
thing.
preseason.
The upperclassmen didn't have
Didn't do preseason.
What?
Yeah, they didn't do preseason.
It's like they didn't come in until like a month after? Or?
No, like they were like, I guess I don't want to say they didn't do preseason. Like they were in there, they did the practices, they did the lifts, but there was no like, stadium, campus runs. That's what the freshmen did. We did all that stuff. Plate runs around campus.
Yeah.
Like weird.
Bring that back.
Yeah. So it was like we would show up to lift in the morning. Like we'd have to get up super early to go do these like track workouts. And it's like when you're with a group of 10 people and the coach, like you can't hide. Like, so if you start dying and you're dogging, like you're getting called out. Versus like if you're the whole team there, you can kind of get caught in the middle of the pack.
You can.
And, like
you got the heavyweights coming
like you
in.
can kind of get like that wasn't you couldn't. And so there was a lot of like, and we had one upperclassman that did it with us just by choice. Sam Gilseth, a lot of shout out to him. I mean, I don't think he ever started when he was here, but he was one of the hardest workers on the team, and he just grinded.
Good for him.
He worked super hard. But, so we would show up to lift, and we'd just be, like, shaking, doing the warm-up, like a med ball warm-up. The guys would be just rolling out of bed, like, eating a snack from the nutrition station or whatever, and just their fueling station. And, so that was traumatizing. Jared and I laugh about that a lot because we'd wake up to the same like song on our alarm every day. And it's it ruined, it ruined the Kendrick Lamar song for us.
What time would you guys get up?
I want to say, so lift was usually at like 6:30, and so you're like, I don't know, 40 working out, doing the pre-workout thing, the preseason thing, like 45 minutes before that probably. So
Oh my
yeah, you were
gosh.
getting up pretty early. I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably up at like 4:30.
It was like at least 4 times a week, if I remember correctly. Yeah, for like I felt like a month and a half, and someone can fact check me on that or correct me, but that listens to this. But I think it was about that. So
Wow. That's my least favorite workouts on the track.
Yeah.
I'm slow as fuck.
Yeah. And then like Kish was big on like even the first one's got to be as hard as the last. Well, like that's physically impossible.
Yeah.
Like you can't actually go as hard as you can the first one as the last one. But so like some guys would just die out.
Right.
And then they'd be like just really struggling in the last half. But so it was Kish, Matt Nagel, and then Gerard. Which I don't know if you probably don't remember him.
No.
He left like right after my first year.
Okay.
And so did Nagel because I think he had another kid. And
Was Pack ever in there when you were there?
that was the next. Had to have been that would have been the COVID year I think because he came. I think he came when Kellen came, and that was the same year. Sometimes they kind of blend together. But yeah, that was so after the first year, like that was my redshirt year. Like we went to UNI Open and did all that stuff, and it was good. And that was such an important development year, just a maturity year for most people. And then the next year, that was the year where I was like, oh, I'm going to start. Like, I'm excited to step in. And I lost my wrestle off in like the last 10 seconds to Sawyer.
That's right.
And then I was like just battling back and forth for the spot.
And
all
was
year.
that at 41?
Yep. Yeah. I never wrestled any other weight besides 41.
Okay.
I couldn't make 33 and I was too small for 49. I wasn't strong enough for 49. So I was going back and forth, like trading time with Sawyer. And then we both like honestly just didn't have that great of records or like any notable wins. And so it ended up where we were like the only ones who wrestled off before Big 12s. And then I ended up beating him to go to Big 12s. Yeah. And then I got placed like, I mean, you don't get seated or anything because I didn't have any record. But then I had Ian Parker first match. And I lost like 7-2. I remember I got the first takedown, so I felt pretty proud about that. But like
that was Iowa State kid,
right?
Yeah,
Iowa State, I'd never beat him until I beat him to my junior year to go to nationals again. Oh, yeah. So it was kind of like it felt good to do that. But I mean, he was such a tough wrestler. Yeah. He was really tough. And then I had, so I was on the backside, and then I had like the number 13 guy from like Fresno, and they still had a program. It's like Lorenz, like something Lorenz. Anyways, I ended up beating him. He was like number 13. I had a guy from Air Force that had been like in the top 30, beat him, and then I beat Michael Blockus to go to nationals because it was the top.
So you made the nationals?
I did, yeah. That was my freshman year, and then no one. I was not seeded, wasn't expected to make it, and so that was like. I don't know. That was some of the best wrestling I've ever done, honestly.
Wow. And so Blockus was UNI at that time, right?
Yep, he was UNI.
He was 41. That's crazy.
And he was like ranked 10th, I think, going into that.
Oh my god.
I put a string together of wins. I was kind of like a bracket buster that year.
That's sick.
And that was it was awesome. And then we were training and we were getting ready for US Bank Nationals, and then COVID happened.
No.
Yeah. So then that was my freshman year. That was my freshman year. And that was at Cam had just won Big 12s.
Yep.
Like we had like 6 guys going. It was
that year was had a hell of a
that
team.
was a really good team. Then COVID happened, and then we got sent home, and it was like, oh, what do we do now? Like the world's ending, basically. And then
that bullshit.
Yeah. And
what was that feeling like? Just when they said, there's no nationals now, and you're a freaking freshman who just qualified for the first time.
I mean, I think it was just hard to comprehend, and I don't think like emotionally you really knew how to react because it was so like no one had ever been through that before. Yeah. But I remember like I'd be like scrolling on Twitter. No, it's X, but I was scrolling on Twitter, and it was like Big 10 basketball canceled, Big 12 this canceled, D2 nationals canceled. I'm like, well, they're gonna cancel Division 1. Like I still mentally was like, I gotta prepare. Like they haven't canceled it yet, but I was like, the writing's kind of on the wall. And I remember we were in practice like on a Tuesday or something, and then Matt Larson walked in and told Kish like kind of whispered in like, yeah, we're done. Like send your guys home basically. And then we still finished practice. Like we still did like a live match, and we all knew like that it ended, and we still finished out the practice. And I was like, what are we doing? Like
Kish shit.
I was like, come on. I was like, but yeah, I mean, I think everyone was just like upset. I mean, that's probably the easiest way to put it, because it was like we were kind of going back home. Like US Bank was
Yeah.
right in our backyard, and so and it would have been I think a legendary event because it was one of the biggest stadiums.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, then I went home and. I mean, just like everyone did, I think during COVID, you like kind of just bummed around. Like you couldn't really go anywhere, do anything. Like the world was on shutdown, and I mean, especially Minnesota. And so,
Blue.
so I mean,
Especially in that
and then
Anoka
it was so weird because it was like every couple weeks, like so like you kind of got like initially you're like, oh, like it's all over, it's done, and then it was like. Stay ready, like we're gonna be coming back. Like, they're just gonna delay it, and like we're still gonna do it. And then like it'd be like, oh, we're coming back to campus in March. We're coming back to campus in June. It just kept pushing, and it was like, oh, are we going? And then you kind of would like lose faith after a while. It's like, well, I've kind of been told we're coming back.
Yeah, you hear that, you start hitting the treadmill.
But I my weight like really dropped because I probably didn't lift as much as I should have.
Sure.
And so I was like walking around at my weight.
Yeah.
And it was not good. Yeah, it was not good. I think that ended up hurting me the next season because I was not as strong as I was before.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't adapt to the COVID year.
Sure.
Because it was like competition and then like a 2-week break and then competition and 2-week break. You couldn't really, like, when like late in the season you really get in the flow because you have all those competitions, you have all those dual meets going on. Like it's like a gauntlet towards the end of the year until you get to Big 12s. I needed that like momentum to build, and I just couldn't build any momentum. So, I mean, I was close to qualifying that COVID year, but I didn't end up qualifying. I didn't really have that good of a season. So, and then the craziest thing was like they were putting out at-large bids, and Real Woods went and wrestled a couple extra matches after his Pac-12 because he didn't qualify automatically. And then he ended up wrestling, like, I think a couple guys from, like, Cal, Bakersfield or whatever. And then he got an auto bid in because he had such a crazy good year the year before. Yeah. And so then he got put in. And I don't know, I was kind of upset about that because I was like, but.
That's some BS. And that was when he was at Stanford still.
Yeah. I mean, there was so much, like, no one knew what to do. All the criteria was messed up from the year before, and they changed some of it. So, yeah. I mean, I probably I didn't deserve to be in it anyways. I didn't qualify, but it was like, I remember being pretty bummed about that. And then after that, that was the first year, I guess, kind of the coaching change, too. That's when Obi came in, and we had Gage. I'm forgetting his last name. But,
So this is now going into your 4th year, right?
My 3rd year now.
Oh, okay.
This is my 3rd year.
Yeah.
This is my junior year. Yeah. Because, COVID, now into my 3rd year. This is when I qualified again.
Okay.
And this is when we went to Detroit for nationals.
Sure. Well, no, this has got to be your 4th year, right? Because you had redshirt year. Then you had the year where you qualified, didn't make it. Then the next year.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I told you. They blend together.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. So, yeah, this year, the year I qualified again, I was the starter all year. Had a pretty good season for the most part. And then I remember it was like towards the end of the year, I was wrestling a Little Rock guy. And he grabbed my, I don't remember what the exchange was, but like he grabbed my leg and twisted it, and it just like, and I was like, oh no, like that's not good. But you have the adrenaline going, so like you can kind of just get up and wrestle for the rest of the match.
Yep.
I finished the match. I think I beat him like barely, like takedown, like 5-2 or something like that. And then we had to wrestle Northern Colorado the next day. And it was Alirez is my weight. And so I was, and I remember I like couldn't bend my leg the next morning. Like, just when you pop your knee or whatever, I thought it was kind of something like that. And I remember Kish was like, oh, you're going to wrestle. That boy's dogging in there. Like he's feeling the cut. And I'm like, I can't like bend my leg. And he's like, no, like you're going to wrestle. Like it was like not an option. And I was like, okay. Like, I mean, I took a bath, I remember, and I like couldn't really warm up. I actually ended up wrestling like okay.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of glad he pushed me in a way because I think it like unlocked something for me of like, oh, it's like, it's not as bad as it actually seems.
Yeah.
You can get through more than you think. Yeah. And I lost him like 6-2 or something, but that was pretty good. I think he was still number 1 or up there at the time. So going through all this, like, now I'm like, I got to deal with my knee and get through the rest of the season. And I didn't know what was wrong with it. And I was talking with Mike, and he's like, well, you don't want to figure out what's wrong now, because then if you got to do something, like, it's just going to be in your head, you know? And I'm like, oh, that's a good point. And, like, I
Mike's
clearly,
always good at throwing that out
yeah,
there.
I was like, well, yeah, I clearly could wrestle on it, too, because I just did. But, like, I would take some shots in practice, and it would just, like, I remember one time I was doing a one-on-one with Obi, and, I can't remember who my partner was. Maybe, like, Zach Watts or something. And I remember I took a single leg, and it just, like, and I think that was like me tearing my ACL like fully. Like I think it was torn. I think it was torn before, but I think I might have just. I don't know that for a fact, but I remember I was on the ground. And I was like screaming. I was like, "What the heck just happened?" I just took a single leg. Like what the heck? And then it ended up being okay. And I was like, well, like I could bend it again. But it was like a freaky like accident that shouldn't have happened. It was like no contact. And then I just kept wrestling, and like it was bothering me, so I kind of had to modify my stuff. And I ended up like wrestling pretty good at Big 12s. I think I got 4th or something like that. I can't believe I can't remember. It's not that long ago. But that was where I came back and beat Ian Parker, and I can't remember where I had 3rd or 4th, but ended up going to nationals, and I did pretty good at nationals. I went like 3-2, I think. And that was a ton of fun. Like, those were good matches. But I found out after the season that my ACL was torn. And so, like, I was wrestling on a torn ACL, like, for the last half of the season, but I didn't know.
Right.
And so, like, I thought it was, like, something with my meniscus. And so then it went into the next season of, like, well, do I get surgery? I got to take a whole season off. Oh, but I can wrestle with it. I just wrestled with it. And so then it was, like, this mental battle of, like, do I take time off? Do I not? And then I ended up deciding, if wrestling was my only goal in life, like I should have just taken the time off and got surgery and got healthy. Yeah. But I just, I knew it was going to be my last season because I was going to graduate. Like I'd already done my finance degree. I was doing my master's at the time. I was like, didn't want to do a doctorate. Yeah. I also didn't really want to be in school for 6 years. Right. Because I had the COVID year. So I was like, well, let's do like one last ride with it and we'll see how it goes. So that's why I was wearing that big brace all the time and trying to wrestle with that. And it started off okay, actually. Like I was modifying my stuff. I didn't do everything with the team. And I came out, my first match was against Brock Hardy. That was the Nebraska duel. I remember that. I beat Brock Hardy. You kicked the shit out of him. I beat him pretty bad, And then we won as a team, too, which was awesome because it was against Nebraska. Sick. That was like a crazy awesome moment. I remember Juan before that, like, he was getting him pumped up to wrestle his heavyweight guy, and he had a great match. And but yeah, then as the season went on, like just the wear and tear of the season, and I was wearing that big brace. It was kind of a target. People were cranking on it. I remember I was wrestling Moshe Schwartz, Oklahoma, and he just grabbed it. And he was doing like a monkey roll or whatever, leg pass, and it just caught my brace, and it just popped. And I was like, I think I might have just wrecked my knee a ton more because, you're at a higher risk when you don't have your ACL to tear other things. And then at that point, it was just so in my head. Like, I just couldn't get it out of my head of like, I think I just wrecked my knee even more. Am I like going to have problems long term because I kept wrestling on it? And then I kept wanting to come back, and like I kept staying ready, and I ended up going to Big 12s, and I just didn't wrestle good because I don't think I could get out of my own head, honestly. I think it was a lot more than that too, but yeah, it was, so that I didn't really end my career on a great note. Right. And like because of my ACL and that injury, but that was really the only big injury I had. Yeah. But that was kind of my college career there. So
yeah, that was
a lot of me talking,
insane. Like just an insane up and down. Yeah, it sucks that ended like that, but yeah, it was a freaking hell of a career.
How bad did it hurt when you wrestled? Because I'm sure. So did you lift at all either, or how were practices and stuff? Because you said you modified it, but I'm sure it freaking hurt all the time.
Honestly, like it would kind of ache, but it wasn't like painful to do things. It was the weirdest thing. Like I feel like most people thought like, oh, your knee must just be like grinding all the time, and it didn't really feel like that. After Moshe grabbed it and it popped a couple, then it hurt more. Yeah, it hurt to bend it and do some.
So it was mainly weakness. Yeah.
It was definitely like feeling it now. Like I wrestled, I don't know, a while ago with you. That was like a year after I got surgery, and my leg felt 10 times stronger. Yeah. It felt way stronger. Right. And it was probably a mental thing too. Sure. Knowing that your knee's not hurt anymore.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's like, yeah, you probably feel like Superman.
Yeah. So, it didn't really hurt that bad, but like the practices, the modification was like, I just didn't do as much live. The guys that I wrestled kind of knew not to, like if we got in a big scramble, like they kind of just let it go. And I didn't do a lot of the running stuff, which you can debate on whether that's, really good to not do a lot of running because it's kind of hard on your knees and then you go into wrestling, but Kish always said it strengthened your knees, so I don't know.
He did
some science to that.
Just like run the second mile faster than the first mile.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a healthy balance of trying to take care of your body and do things smart, but then you also got to do some hard stuff too and put your body through it. So
100%. For sure.
Yeah.
I think putting your body through that mental or the hard stuff like really helps your mental too, because like if you're going through that every day at practice, you're like, all right, I can go out here and dominate this guy. Like I get a war every day. I'm sure not being able to do that kind of like you said, you were in your head a little. I'm sure you always thought about, man, I'm not doing what the other guys are probably doing, or I'm missing out.
That was a big thing for me, was like, doing a lot of extra stuff, and that like helped my confidence. But and so that was mentally tough when you weren't able to the weird thing was, it was like a balance of like you're always, every day was kind of a tug and war of like, should I be doing more, like am I prepared enough, because I was doing way less than I'd done previous years to prepare myself for matches and like get into shape and be able to wrestle like I wanted to wrestle. So you're always like, am I doing enough? And it's like, oh, I don't want to do too much. Like it'd be dumb to get hurt in practice.
Right.
Like I don't want to do that. And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's always hard to walk that line. Am I doing too much, or?
Yeah.
Well, I guess like more if you're injured, you're like, it's like you're trying to hold yourself back, but you want to go so freaking hard all the time, and then you're like, but I'm not there yet. I'm not 100%. Do I want to like retweak it, or? Man, I really want to go hard today. It's hard to hold yourself back too.
Yeah, that is the battle.
Because sometimes when you get going, you're going.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, screw it, we're rolling.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
100%. All right, we can swing into that. Where you're working now?
Yeah. I guess I'm a financial advisor. Doing it a little bit different, I guess, because it's not really a lot of individuals. It's more companies. So it's like employee-owned companies. Yeah. So we're basically, I guess, putting it in like a simple way, is that we're just helping them manage their excess cash as a business. So treasury management, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I feel like that in a sense that could be the way to make more money too, though, in that space. Or would you say otherwise? Working with individuals versus companies? I mean,
you're managing bigger dollar amounts. So, I mean, there's something to be said there for sure. I mean, but if you start working with some high net worth individuals, though, like, that's where you can really add a lot of value there and make good money.
Like, if they're, like, worth more than, like, 7 figures, then it's, like, there's a lot of money to be thrown. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and they just have, like, I guess you've probably heard this before. You solve rich people problems, right? And you get paid pretty well. And like, there's a lot of different things you can do when you're a high net worth individual, and there's a lot of different investments you can get into versus the average person can't get into. And there's a lot of debate around whether that's good or bad, but that's just the reality of where the financial world is if you have a lot of money, you get access to different things that normal people wouldn't get access to. And then helping them navigate that.
I like how you said, solve like rich people's problems, because there's a lot of videos that I watch about that stuff, and like people talking about business and like how to get started when you're in the brainstorming idea and you come up with like 20 different business ideas. You want them to, if you want your business to like, I guess have less, it's like almost like less sales but more higher ticket items and stuff like that, they always say solve rich people problems. Whether it's a service, product, or whatever it may be, it's like solve rich people problems and you can be rich. It's
usually like a lot of I love reading like business biographies, like of like Sam Walton, Phil Knight of Nike. So Sam Walton's Walmart, Phil Knight's Nike, Elon Musk. Like there's a lot of biographies you can get on like Libby for free basically and read them. They're super interesting. But a lot of the, maybe these aren't the best, those three aren't the best examples, but like you think of Amazon, I guess, like they started out serving like one group really, really well, was books basically.
Books,
and then they expanded. And so like if you can find your niche and really do really, really well in there and make good money there, you can then kind of democratize everyone else. That's like what Netflix has done, where now you can be like the low cost. They're not really low cost, but they reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's hard if you're starting a business to be like, I'm gonna be everything to everyone. You can't. You have to find like your one thing that you're gonna focus on and get really, really good at that one thing, and then split off after that. And you're gonna find that natural path afterwards that works really well.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% on that, because so when I was doing entrepreneurship class, we did a presentation. It's like basically doing a pitch of like a business idea to Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So then we actually had a good idea. It was basically like it's already a business, but it's like create meals and then ship it out to them and stuff. But then they were talking about it because I was the main talker in our group because there was a bunch of guys that were pretty quiet. So I always like tailored it towards wrestling when my experiences and stuff. And they're like, okay, this is a great idea, this and that. And they said, my only problem is with your guys' company is that you guys don't have a specific niche. Like, I would assume from what you're saying, it'd be for, like, wrestlers. But, like, where's our niche? Like, is it people with families? Is it rich people? Is it poor people? Is it this or is it that? Athletes? We didn't exactly know. And that was kind of, like, for sure.
I think also, like, you were talking about the brainstorming thing. I think it's super interesting that people think they need to come up with the next, like, Facebook to be successful. And it was funny listening to, Sam Walton, his story of Walmart, which is like one of America's most successful businesses. And he's like, everything I've ever done has pretty much been like a rip off from someone else. Like that was his own words. Like he was like, I started in the discount retailing business, or I started in, managing these stores, retail. And then he found out that, it's actually cheaper if I just go direct to the manufacturer to get the supplies, and the savings I make, I can pass on to the customer. And then I'm going to sell more and get more profit. Yeah. And then he's like, then he just started expanding. And he'd always, anytime he was traveling, he'd go into competitor stores, try to steal their talent, figure out what they're doing right. And he'd take it and implement it in his own stores. And that's how he grew. And, a little small store in Arkansas ended up beating all the big stores at the time that aren't even in business anymore, like Kmart. And so
it is so true. A lot of that is just, and maybe not directly like, I'm going to do exactly what you do, but like you said, like taking a piece and just making it. Yeah, exactly.
100%.
For sure. Yeah. So going off of like what you're doing now, what is like your long-term goal? Do you have would you like to just be financial advisor or?
Yeah. So, the financial advising industry is kind of maybe unique in that, like, once you got the advisor title, it's kind of like the top of the, of where you're going to be. Like, you're an advisor now. Now it's like, how much money do you manage? You're going to get different titles and things, but it's not like, I get promoted from, like market manager to CFO to CEO. It's not like when you're an advisor at, most of the firms, you're really kind of running your own book of business, just like an insurance agent would. Like it's a lot of sales. Like you're trying to grow your book and manage other books. Like if there's older advisors that are trying to retire out, you might take over some of theirs. Yeah. For me, I'm partnered with another advisor. Like I'm in growth mode and helping him service his book. And like, that's my goal, is just to continue to grow my book and take more off his plate. And that's going to be my life for the next however many years until I stop doing it. Because now that I've been in the industry, and I didn't even really I wasn't looking to get into financial advising. There's a whole other story on that. But now that I'm in it, I don't really see myself doing anything else. I really like it's pretty fulfilling, and it's got a mix of finance, entrepreneurship, sales, which selling's pretty much everything. Like no matter what industry you're in, you're gonna have to sell. Like you were selling yourself to NDSU, right? When you were trying to come here, on your recruiting visit, like you're selling yourself a little bit, and so like that's in everything.
Speaking of that, there's actually a funny story. So when I was on my visit to NDSU, so when we had our meeting with the coaches, I whip out my iPad just with questions filled for Opie to answer. I was like, so you got this? Oh, wait, no, you answered this question. And he was like, damn, I feel like I'm getting interviewed myself. And I guess he said I was the only guy to ever do that. I wanted to make sure I was making the right choice.
It's like the dude from Step Brother. What do you make after taxes? And then a work conducted interview now.
That's good though.
That's one way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
You gotta know what you're getting into for sure.
So how many like companies do you do? Or
we work with, I don't know, 50 plus companies probably.
Shit.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not like all me. That's obviously I joined an existing advisor. So yeah.
Any bigger companies we may know of?
Yeah, you probably would know some of them, but I guess I'm not gonna probably say on here. But yeah, you would know some of them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So how many like you said you're trying to take off his plate? How many do you have? Is there any that you have yourself, or is it still just you two technically for now?
We're a team, so like we pretty much manage everything together. But yeah, there's ones that like I guess you could say like fostered the relationship and help
Bring them in.
Yeah, bring him in. I mean, he's helping me close everything, right? I mean, he's my partner's been doing it for a lot longer, and he's really good at his job. And yeah, that's kind of it's really an apprenticeship in a lot of ways. So
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So how old is he? You say he's been doing it a while.
In his 40s.
Oh dang.
Yeah, but
and he's gonna get out here soon. You think?
I don't really know what his plan is.
Okay.
I mean, if you're in your 40s, you're still pretty young, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's got a lot of runway left.
Sure.
But yeah, I think I was gonna say something else that you'd asked. Now I can't think of what, or that you said, but I don't know. I lost my train of thought. So
Yeah. I'd like to hear a little bit on Sydney, like, because you guys got married, what, a couple years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yep, 2023.
So how'd you meet her, and like how'd that all go down?
Yeah. So we were both going to the same church, River City Church, and we both were a part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes on campus. And she was not an athlete, or in college. She was an athlete in high school.
Yeah.
And she had got connected because of her cousin who was on the track team to come to FCA and just get plugged in. She's from Bismarck. So
Sure.
when she came here for school, she was like, I want to get plugged into a church and a community. So the first introduction I had with her was at church, like in the morning. I was like serving. I think she was serving, or one of us was serving. And they're like, you gotta meet this girl, Sydney. And I was like, oh, I'm Dylan, and I wrestle. And like, as part of an introduction, like I'm leaving some parts out, of course, but she was like, well, I wrestled one. Like I did a couple wrestling practices. I got a bloody nose. And I was like, hell yeah. No, I didn't really know. I mean, I didn't really know what to say. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But it was just, we joke about it now because it was just kind of funny that Monk was one of her teachers at Legacy. And like he's obviously wrestled for NDSU and wrestling coach, and so I think he and Lars brought her in there, like her and her sister in there one day, and had them like I don't know, collar tie each other or something. But so yeah, she got a bloody nose. So that was the first time I met her, and then she famously says that like after that I didn't talk to her for like a year, and because she said I think she thought I was super interested in her, like she called her mom, was like, oh this guy likes me, or this guy's interested in me, and I didn't talk to her for a year because I wasn't really looking for a relationship at the time.
Yeah.
I think I desired one, but I just didn't really feel like I was ready for one. And then eventually time went on, and I wanted to ask her out on a date, and I wanted to do it in person. I was trying to be very intentional about that because I just think a lot of people like snap and text. And so I wanted to ask her in person. Well, she was like super elusive, was like impossible to get out of a group. I tried everything.
She was hitting the bob and weave.
And after FCA went on, she just would like, it was like she would just book it to her car or her truck. And I was like, I never could get, and she'd be waving at me in her truck, like driving away. And I'm like, I wanted to talk to you. But I could never get her away from her group of friends. Girls kind of hang out in packs. And so it's hard to break them out.
It's tough to like go engage a whole group and be like, hey, you.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of did that once. Like there was M&Ms. Like I don't remember what the reasoning was, but there was like M&Ms or something being passed around at FCA, and I was like, "You want M&Ms? Like here's some candy. Like come talk to me." Basically, and she's like, "No, I don't want M&Ms." Just turned around, and I was like, "Oh, what the heck?
Okay.
Like, what am I supposed to do?"
Yeah.
So I ended up I group me DM'd her, I didn't have her
go.
number. I didn't have anything. So I had to I just eventually caved and was like, I was like late one night and I couldn't sleep. And I was like, I gotta like message her. And then she messaged me back right away. We ended up on a coffee date. And like, we were pretty intentional right away of like, okay, we're dating to marry.
Yeah.
We're not just dating to like date around or whatever. And so, yeah, it was like very intentional from the get-go. Like, had boundaries set up and everything. And then, I don't know, things just progressed. And over time, and 9 months later, we got engaged, then married. So,
that's awesome. Good for you. Yeah, that is very cool.
The right one will wait around.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta finish here with some real good rapid fire questions.
Okay.
This one really important. You're about to die.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Okay.
You got one meal left. What are you going with?
Oh, one meal.
Anything you want. It can be like however you want to do it.
Probably some like street tacos and
The motherfuckers.
and like what am I supposed to pick, like drink, dessert, and everything?
Yeah, like whatever you want. Like basically until you're like soulful. And it's just good night.
Yeah, gotta have some street tacos.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Bowl of ramen.
No.
Okay.
Steak and potatoes.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they'd have to be like steak, chicken, shrimp, like all the different kinds. Probably some chips and salsa, like hummus too.
Yep.
Trying to think of desserts I'd want. I mean, like maybe like a milkshake or something of some kind. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about that a lot. What was your go-to meal?
So if I was about to die, this is what it would be. I'd have a beautifully rare cooked steak, probably filet mignon. I'd dice it up, put it on some fettuccine Alfredo, and then mix all that in. I'd eat that, and then I'd get some sugar cookies. You know, like the box you can get. It's got like they're usually like pink frosted. They come in like 12-pack. So I'd dice that down, and then I'd go for like 3 Dairy Queen Blizzards, probably like an Oreo strawberry cheesecake, and then like cotton candy, and that'd probably about do it for me. But yeah, that's where I'd go. I'd honestly, I'm one of the guys too. I'd maybe just go straight sweets, depending on like
Really?
how I'm feeling, like right before.
You're
I
like
die.
Jared. Jared goes straight sweets.
A dates guy though.
No, I said dates better than any sugar candy. That's
Really?
Yep. That's my
Dates are
that's
pretty
my
good.
take.
What are your guys' meals?
Probably just pizza, dude.
Really? Just what?
Just-
No toppings?
Buffalo chicken, like chicken bacon ranch.
Yeah.
Barbecue chicken, just pound some pizzas.
There you go.
And then have a big old bowl of ice cream at the end.
Yeah.
With brownies in it.
You
Just
already
keep
know-
it easy.
You already know me.
What's rice?
No.
Ramen.
Big bowl of miso ramen that's like cooked from this one place called Tenkaichi Pan in Hawaii. Some sushi. I like California roll, tempura roll.
I didn't even think of sushi. I like sushi too.
Yeah.
Some ahi sashimi. Some clams, oysters.
Oh, oysters.
Oh yeah, that is a spot.
There you go.
Me made fried rice. I cooked the fried rice. Fried rice so good.
It's so good.
Any dessert? No, just the ramen. That's all you want.
Maybe my dessert would be some more sushi.
Okay.
I fucking love sushi. But interesting story about the oysters. So when there was like this time period for probably like when I had my broken wrist, I couldn't play baseball for a little bit. I couldn't wrestle, and me and my mom once a week get a bag of oysters from the grocery store and fucking cook it, eat it.
Dude, oysters are the best.
It's
Yeah.
good,
Oysters are pretty solid.
so good,
Probably one of my favorite seafoods.
Yeah.
so good.
All right, next question. If you could go back in time and change one decision that you've made to this point, what would you change?
Isn't the answer you don't change anything because you like where you're at? I think I feel like people go through this all the time. Like they second guess their decisions, or they'll be like, oh, what if I went to that school? Or like, you know, when you're like going in wrestling or whatever, you see how a school's performing, or like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes that was like a pretty natural thought to have. Like, oh, what if that happened? Or I think for mine, the school piece now is like, oh, what if I went to like an Ivy League school or something? What opportunities would that have gotten me, like in finance particularly?
Sure.
But I mean, honestly, I wouldn't change anything I've done so far. I feel like God's put me on a good path, and better than anything I was planning. Because again, I wasn't planning to be in advising. I don't think I was. I mean, if you'd asked me when I got to campus if I'd be like living in Fargo, married, and being a financial advisor, like that doesn't really look like the life that I was like. I mean, like, you have a plan for yourself and you develop over time and you mature. I mean, I think I would have probably been like, you're crazy. There's no what. That doesn't even sound like me to have all those things or be in that spot. So I probably wouldn't change anything.
That's pretty. that's actually a really good answer. Okay, who is the most impressive person that you've ever met?
Ooh. I feel like I'm going to have some like recency bias of like someone I just met. So I'm trying to think back. Okay. Like impressive athletically, mentally,
you can, basically impressive is what characteristic you value the highest.
Oh,
or say, just I don't know, whatever you think is the most impressive. That's pretty open.
Do you guys have those answers loaded up and I can have a little time to think? Do you have any answers yourselves? And I can get a little more time to think on this one.
I got one right.
Okay.
I'd say my grandpa is for sure the most impressive person I've met. Just like the life he provided for his whole family, like he's an impressive dude, and he's very like selfless and just like puts everyone before himself, and he does anything to help anyone. And he's the most impressive person I've met for sure. Hard worker, everything that you want to be, and I want to strive to be. He has most impressive person is that.
Yeah, mine's my mom. Just a lot of reasons, but main one is just a warrior is how I describe her. Just keeps clipping, and it's really impressive to me. So,
I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah,
it's tough. It
is a hard question. Most people, we haven't yet had somebody answer with anybody other than like a family member or like, because usually that's who you know best,
right?
You know?
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't have to be at all, but if you can't think of one, that's not a big deal.
No, I mean, I just think there's so many impressive people I meet. I feel like I'm kind of the person that, I really value like these types of things, like meeting with people, learning about people. Like I like to do that, and I guess it maybe helps with my job a little bit too, because I'm just like more curious in people, and I tend to place a lot of like weight and value on like what people are doing. Like I'm like, oh, that's so cool that like you own this place. That's freaking crazy. That's awesome. Like I mean, I didn't do that. Like I don't know. I just think that's so cool. So I don't know. I mean. My parents are. Yeah. That's an easy answer for me too on that, like kind of the same family realm that you guys are in. I mean, there's so many things that they sacrifice for me and my brother that taught like life lessons they taught me. That I mean, I think I don't. It's one of those things you can't almost really appreciate it until you're out of the house. You know, like just when you're done wrestling, it's hard to appreciate. I look back. I knew I was going to be on this podcast. I was kind of thinking about some things that you guys might ask me, but I was like, man, it's hard to appreciate the stuff when you're in it, like how good it is or how cool it is, until after the fact when you don't have it anymore, and like all the hard work you were doing and the accomplishments and stuff. I don't know. You can get so caught up in the moment and just keep chugging along. I think that's the same case with like when you're living with your parents and then you get out, you're like, oh man, they were like really good parents. They taught me so many amazing like characteristics and qualities 100%. And stuff. So
that's a good one. All right, last thing I want to ask: if you were gonna leave advice to somebody who's just getting into college wrestling, what would you tell them?
Oh, there's like more than one thing. I feel like every year's different. Every year's I feel like every year's just completely different. I don't know how else to put it. Especially with my career. I mean, it was like you heard COVID, different coaches, whole different team, just different landscape of athletics. It just evolves so fast. You're a different person every year,
right?
Mentally and physically, because you're just changing so much as you're maturing, like from 18 to 25 or whatever age you are when you're going through college. I think looking back, I wish I would have tried to have more fun. You know, my dad would tell me that all the time, have more fun. And I'm like, I want to win. Like, I want to like work hard. I want to like, these are my goals. It's hard to slow down and be like, this is a game and to have fun. I think I did a really poor job at that. And I think I could have enjoyed my career a lot more than I did. I think I caused myself a lot more suffering than I needed to because I just couldn't sit back and enjoy the moment that I was in. Yeah. And I remember this is something that Kish told me. He was trying to, I think, help me like realize that it's just like wrestling just a game and like, you know, you got to enjoy it. And it didn't really stick with me at the time, but he had sat me down like before we were on the stairs before one practice. And he was like, can you name the last 5 national champions at 141? And I like really could only name like, at that time it was like Yanni. And I think it was like 3, he got like 3, you know, he'd gotten a couple of them. So I knew a couple of them, but like I couldn't go that far back. And I was like, he's like, yeah, no one remembers them from 15 years ago. Like you have to go look it up, right? It's just it's always about the next year. Yeah, that's great. You did that last year. What are you gonna do for me this year? Like it's always about the next year. Like same with the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl ends, and then that Monday they're talking about who's gonna win it next year. Yeah. So it's just you realize that it kind of takes some of the pressure off, and it allows you just to go and be free and wrestle, and you know. Have fun. Yeah. Yes. I don't know. Those are a couple of things I would tell myself, I guess. Because sometimes the best advice you can give, people ask for advice from other people, but like the way they ask it, they'll kind of like be getting like trying to course it into getting a certain answer.
Kind of what they want to hear.
Yeah. They kind of want to like, they'll give you like, they might leave out a couple things. They might indulge in a couple things to get the advice that they want. Cause they like kind of, that's where the direction they want to go, like subconsciously. But if you were to like, I think some of the best advice you can give to yourself is you step back and you're like, what advice, if I was 5 years from now, what advice would I give me about what I would do? Like, right. Because if you detach the emotions from it, you can typically, you know yourself better than anyone, and you typically know the right answer to what advice you can give. So.
Yeah, that's some good words. That's awesome. But yeah, maybe we'll wrap it up there. It is hot as shit.
Yeah, I'm sweating so much. I was like, I didn't feel like you guys were sweating, but I'm dripping, and I'm like, I feel fine, but I just am sweating so much.
It's usually a little hot, but it's not usually this bad.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sweating so much.